Hi friends, MD Vegan. I make a fruit salad for breakfast, and to me that's favorably nuts and fruit. Both are wonderful energy sources for us. Fruit are mainly carbohydrates, that is sugar. I make it very simple. Not all carbohydrates are sugar, but fruit are high in sugar usually, and that means the best fuel for our body is fruit, because the sugar is directly burned in the cells, and that's perfect, easy, very light. And nuts are mainly fat. That is another source, very potent. Nuts, usually one says nuts have a lot of fats, so they are high in calories, so eating too many nuts makes you fat. But that is not true at all. Funny, I have here the healthiest nuts there are, according to health science, and that is, I have to explain, modern Western health science. That means it is an abstract science looking at generalized concepts. You just have, for example, all the people on the planet today, and you ask, what's the main cause for premature death? And they say, okay, of all the people on the planet today, heart disease and cancer and diabetes are the most dangerous diseases. Most people die of that too early. So then they find out what kind of food is best to prevent that. And that food and that nutrient is considered the healthiest one. So that's a very specific question, as opposed to alternative medicine, holistic medicine, not abstract, holistic. That means you look at one individual, at me for example, at any another individual. The doctor comes, you come to the doctor, you see the doctor looks at you and says, okay, your balance of elements is a little bit out of, it has to be corrected a little bit. And you do more balance, so you eat maybe more greens or more whatever. This is a very personal approach from the alternative medicines. Both have their role in modern medicine. Alternative medicines have different role than Western traditional medicine. They have different best practices and best uses and best effects. Both are important, but when I say the healthiest food is, then it is the Western approach. So that's just to be clear. That's a very specific and limited understanding. And the walnuts here, they consider the walnuts super healthy, the healthiest nuts, because they have this wonderful fat, omega-3 fatty acid. That is a fat we don't find at many places in the plant kingdom, in hemp seeds, chia seeds, flax seeds, walnuts, also in algae. So we have to eat a little bit every day, and such an amount of walnuts would be enough for a day. And the nuts, with their high fat content, do not make you fat, funnily. Just the raw nuts, of course, it is to be seen, because the raw nuts, they seem to have they don't really found out yet what is the exact scientific explanation, but the fact is, they found in huge studies, if you eat nuts every day, hands full of nuts, over a certain time, let's say 3 months, half a year or so, you do not, in addition to your regular diet, so let's say you eat a day 2,000 calories, in addition to that you eat a handful of nuts or 2 handfuls of nuts. So you should get fat, because 2,000 calories is enough for some people. And then you add additional nuts, and they said you have to be fat with that. But the opposite happened. People didn't even not gain weight, some even lost weight. So eating nuts is super healthy. They figure out the reason. One possible reason might be, they say, that the nuts have something inside that makes the cells burn more energy. And you burn more energy, you burn more fat, you lose weight. That's it. So nuts are super healthy, and you have these wonderful ingredients, nutrients in the nuts, really highly recommended. That's why nuts to me are perfect food. I love nuts, and since I know that, all the confusion is gone. I'm so happy. I have my nut snack in between. And for breakfast, nuts and fruit are to me perfect combination. Sometimes I add the seeds. Seeds are also very nice, not as high in fat. They have a little more protein. So it could be buckwheaties also, I often do that. But this time I only have nuts and fruit, and a special kind of fruit here that I add to the banana and to the walnut. The banana and the walnut is here the main fruit, the two main ingredients. And the third one is a raspberry. And I have two different kinds of, that is one raspberry, but this is frozen and this is thawed. So the thawed one has this wonderful juice. You see the water, the juice comes out of the raspberries when they thaw. And here is still the frozen one. They are different, only the texture is different. The frozen one is firm and the soft one is the thawed one. So soft against firm, cold against warm. That is the difference here, and I play with the textures. I like that. The texture is something that can make a difference in a recipe. Here, for example, also I have two different textures with the walnuts and the bananas. Here, at first I show you my bananas for the banana cream, the dressing, where I put the walnuts and the raspberries and the bananas in. Here I have two bananas or so, and I have 3/4 cup of walnuts, and we'll blend these two together. Blend up in the blender. First the bananas, to get the blender working more easily, and the walnuts on top. And the third ingredient would be a teaspoon of cinnamon. Cinnamon is a spice. Yeah, that is a third kind of ingredient here. So not only fruit and nuts, also spices. And spices are considered also, again, Western health standards. Yeah, the Indian Ayurveda medicine would talk in a completely different way about health, not in such a generalized way. They only talk about health in terms of one single person, what is healthy for you now. Yeah, it's a different way to talk about health. Yeah, but the cinnamon, from the Western standpoint, is seen as one of the healthiest spices. Spices and herbs are the second healthiest food we have. Western science says. First is leafy greens is the healthiest one. Second one is herbs and spices. Third is fruit. So we have a lot here of healthy food in there, yeah, from that standpoint. And I will add just the smallest amount of water, not too much, just to get the blender a little bit easy going, because when the blades here are without any water, it can take a little moment until it all blends up. With the water, it's easier. So blender dance, let's see. Just the quick first blending to break down the ingredients, like the walnuts mainly, and then they can soak a little bit. I can adjust texture and flavor. Let's taste it. Oh yeah, perfect. Don't need anything to add. Maybe a little bit of water, but that comes in a moment. I taste the walnut. The walnut has a slightly bitter flavor, ever so slightly. And that goes so nice with the banana, that is more sweet. It also has a bitter tone, very hidden. But with the walnut, corresponds so nicely. Both have a more or less hidden bitter tones, and they play so nicely together with the sweetness and the fat from the walnut. Very, very nice. And the cinnamon is perfect for many sweet desserts or sweet flavors. Cinnamon is there great. So very nice combination. One of my favorite combinations is walnuts, bananas, and cinnamon. Yeah, you can make so many things with that. But that now sits for a moment. Now I put the same ingredients there together without blending them. So they have another texture now, and that makes the difference in this recipe. So I have the same ingredients, some more bananas here in the slices. That is the texture here, the slice, and the soft slice, and the crunchy walnut. Yeah? If you have a walnut, by the way, that is a little bit bitter, that depends always when you buy a walnut or get a walnut, you taste it, it can be a little bit too bitter. They're older, for example. And then you can just soak them for a couple of hours or even overnight, rinse and drain them, and then you enjoy the most wonderful walnut, and the bitter flavor is washed away almost. The excess flavor. But these are okay. They don't not too bitter. I can easily eat them as is. That goes now into my salad bowl. The walnut. I tried this same salad without the walnuts. I just had the bananas and the raspberries. And here the raspberries go in there too. See the raspberries with that thaw juice here. I tried that without the walnuts, and it is nice, but it depends a lot on the bananas. If you have a very ripe banana, I found, banana is so soft, and then you have the raspberries also, the thaw is very soft, and then you combine it and you eat it, and I felt, I could do with a little bit more crunch. And that's why I put the crunchy walnuts right in there. There was a difference here I'm going to tell you about, because the same recipe also works without the walnuts in here, just over there in the dressing, but then the crunch is missing. That's what I found. So I want to talk a little bit today about textures here. And here is what it looks like without the dressing. See these beautiful red raspberries. They have the sour flavor that is a predominant in raspberries. Of course, I mean, I'm talking about basic flavors now. Sour, sweet, bitter, salty, hot. The 5 basic flavors. And if you have a raspberry, of course, you can't describe it just by saying sour or sweet. A raspberry tastes much more. A raspberry can't describe, that's a typical flavor of the raspberry. Everybody knows it. But it has a predominance of sour, and that plays an important role here in the bitter and sweet flavor from the banana and the walnut. So the sour, sweet from the raspberry, that plays so nicely with the banana and the walnut. That's what I want to focus on this recipe. The texture is one point, and then this wonderful flavor combination. And of course the color. If I will now make the dressing, the cream, I put a little bit more water because it is a little bit of thick cream. See, I should show you what it looks like. It's a little bit thick. Now, it could be a little softer, you see. That's too thick for a dressing. See? Now, a little bit of water, and it will also taste better. I felt that when I tasted the first time, I thought, nice, but maybe a little bit too much flavor, too intense. Yeah? So small amount of water dilutes it down, and then you have the perfect flavor and texture when I blend it the second time. Yeah, that looks nice. That is this typical silken creaminess when you blend nuts and bananas. You have this silken creaminess, this very nice creaminess, because of the fat in the nuts, of course. Same with the seeds. Well, pretty perfect, I would say. I show you now what it looks like when I pour it over my salad. And then you see this juice from the raspberry. See, this is the creaminess I mean. The silken creaminess. Wait a second. I will do it. I will put a little bit more. There's so much. It's so creamy that it is. It would be. I need a little bit more from the dressing. Just right now, that's so nice. Just with this little tool here helps me to get everything out of my blender. That's it. So now I toss everything, and then you see that how the juice. You see the red streaks from the juice from the raspberries that now is here everywhere, and that's so beautiful. I like this color when you have a little bit more of this swirl to be visible. I like that. So just what I do now is I put it into a glass and to serve it to myself, and that's all. I have 2 parts here. The 3 main ingredients of the fruit salad, part 1. Then I have the dressing. The dressing is part 2. Also has 3 ingredients: bananas, walnuts, and cinnamon. 3 parts, 3 ingredients for the second part. And the third part, I just put some of the frozen raspberries on top. That is something to decorate. And you have a little bit, makes a little bit of difference for the dessert, for the breakfast. It is more breakfast. It's pretty rich. The dessert, you could use it as a dessert, but to me it's a breakfast because of this nuts and bananas and plenty that is very keeping for some time now. Look at this. Isn't that beautiful? Looks nice, right? I like it a lot, this kind of combination. And I would be happy to know if you like it too. If you like it, anyway, give me a like, subscribe MD Vegan on YouTube, have another recipe every single day, and find me on Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest, and Twitter.